Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you guys how to review your replays. It's easy to watch them back and be like, oh, I missed that shot, but that's not really very productive. There's a lot of ways that you can look at your replays and both comment on your positive plays, reinforce those and do them more, and also point out things like, oh, I shouldn't have pushed left. You know, kind of medium level plays, not too nitpicky, not too vague, that you really can use to improve your gameplay. The rest of this video is not going to be scripted, so I'm just going to be reviewing this gameplay. I don't remember this video, or this replay all too well, so a little bit different from the other videos, but we're going to go over this solo game that I ended up losing in overtime. Yeah, you can see from the kill counts, despite it looking like my team should have won, we ended up going down. And despite kill counts being relevant, they're not the only thing that goes on in this game. Boop. I've got my trusty Wii remote pointer here just in case. Yeah, so I had been playing some Rapid Blaster in solo queue. One of my favorite weapons. I played Kensa Rapid a lot in Splatoon 2. You can see me starting over here on that left side. I don't want to push up too aggressively in the first 10-15 seconds of the match. You don't want to get too aggressive. If you do that, your team ends up going down really quickly, and you kind of need to paint the map, because if you go in before any of that happens, your team neither has a chance to paint the map and gain map control or really get those kills they need. So even if you get the kills, there's still so much of the map you don't have. So you end up backing, I end up having to back off here a few seconds ago. My cat just came up to say hi. Yeah, you saw when my two teammates went down here, I backed up on this left side. I dropped a mine on that left because enemies need to go through this area. So I dropped a mine right over here. It's a really good spot for it, but unfortunately I do end up going down. At the same time, I'm not going to blame myself for that one, because two of my teammates went down, then I ended up going down, but in a relatively kind of like defensive way, right? I helped my teammates get the trade, two people walk through the ink mines, and now you can look at the enemy team, and you can see that they're 3 down, because they all just dropped, they ran up into us, and ended up dying. So, ends up being worth it in the end. So, overall, pretty good interaction for even a dying one. Alright, let's look at the map really quick. So, this map in particular can be a little bit tricky. So, you can see my teammates are trying to push around that left side. That's generally a good idea. You need a bit of pressure on the left and right. Because the teammates were all going left, I opt to come towards the right in case they need some help. Yeah, now that my teammates all rotate towards the right side, you can see on the map, I start moving towards the left to kind of watch the area that they're not watching. So, and all the while this is going on, I'm keeping an eye on our clam count. So, I have 4 clams, we have 14, we don't have a power yet. That's a good number of clams, so if your team already has a ton of clams, you don't need to pick up more, and you should focus on like holding your ground. So, in this position, I am just kind of scouting the map, keeping it our color, and holding the middle. I'm basically waiting until I get my special online, and we're in this neutral position where we're both trying to make a move, both our team and the other team. Yeah, nice. So my teammate gets up with that mine. I try and help my teammate on that left side, but I hear the hammer end up turning around. Unfortunately, do end up going down to that though. So if we want to look about something I could do better there, let's go over here. Go back a few seconds. I hear the hammer and I accidentally fall. So I basically, if I had stayed up on this high ground, I could have been okay. You can see actually there were people shooting from the other side as well. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation. Again, something I'm not going to blame myself too much for. But it does end up being really, really unfortunate and costly. Okay. Now they're all under our basket. What do we do from here? We don't want to drop right into them, especially because they have that Hydra Splatling. That Hydra Splatling set up right there is really dangerous. If I just drop, I'm going to die, so I end up taking it a little bit slower. How do I know whether to go slow or not? Basically, look at the clam count. They have 80 points on the board. That's one power clam. That's not a big push. And they only have 3 clams on board. So basically, the more clams they have, the faster you need to get back into the map. I don't need to go that fast because they don't have too many clams. It'll be an easy push to get that lead back. I hit some nice shots and direct people. Now they're 3 down. So in this situation, because they just went 3 down, we need to be really aggressive. This map's small and we should be able to do it. So my teammates end up pushing backwards over on that right side. We don't need 3 people targeting that one person. So I end up focusing on the left. This person on the left ends up backing off, but I end up going too far in. I didn't know the Hydra was actually sitting there. So basically, that's a tunnel vision on my part. I was focusing too much on that one person on the left side. So let's just go back to it really quick. Yeah, you can see I basically chased them up here. And if I had just missed that one shot and the splash wall came down, I had no chance in the first place. So probably a situation I just shouldn't have gotten myself into. So note to self is be more aware of where the Hydra is. So I get the kill, but our teammates end up pushing in through the right side and get the power clam in. Alright, neutral-ish position here, but some teammates just went down to the hammer, so now we gotta play defensive. Be really careful. They drop the ball over here on the right, and because of that, I end up trying to guard the ball, but I get outmaneuvered over on that right side. So I'm basically just kind of focusing on holding down this position. Just trying to stay alive, let my team get back in. So, if you didn't notice what just happened there, basically, the tactic cooler acts as a wall, so the enemy team can use that, but it can also work against them, where if they throw the cooler there, they can't shoot through it very easily. So, because I'm a blaster, I can shoot around the corner of it, and take control of that area. So that's basically what I did. I just focused the area next to the cooler. I try and help my roller teammate get out of this situation. I saw them on the left, so I went to help. The roller over here can't do anything on their own. They don't have the paint for it, and there's weapons watching. So I come over there to help, and they end up getting a kill out of it. You can see that the person who was chasing me ended up going down. So now someone tries to rush me. My teammate goes down. I end up backing off a bit. So now two enemies are over on this right side here. So basically, the only options for them are now come back this way or come around this side. Both sides I'm watching here. So I can just kind of stay in this position, which is generally pretty strong. Unfortunately, they do end up running all the way behind, but I opt not to chase them because most of the clams end up being in the middle of the map. So because I got the kill on that person, they weren't able to just run straight in. They do end up taking the lead, though. So basically, I just kind of was not ready for their flank around the right side. So I probably could have backed up from this position a little bit earlier. So for example, I was here. I could have moved over here to shoot this area or dropped an ink mine over here. Both of those are pretty good options, but it didn't end up being too bad. Usually on Clam Blitz, I would say don't worry too much about small pushes. And don't worry about losing the lead if the score is above 70. Alright, so now I try and get aggressive here on this left side. Actually, yeah, let me show you what I did really quick. One of my favorite things to do with triple ink strike is, generally throw them up in the air. That's exactly what my teammate did right here. They threw it up in the air, lands over on this left side. That creates a smoke screen. I end up being able to push with it on that left side. So basically I ended up pushing the left because there was only one person there. So now in this situation, there's 3 people on the right side. We don't have a power claim though. They do end up making one. And now we can finally score. That's really good. Yeah. So we end up getting a decent lead here. But in this situation, I probably should have focused on staying alive. I end up going down because I'm trying to win the fight here and keep the push going. But I was the only one with clams in that situation. So let's go back a second. A little bit too soon. Yeah, you can kind of see how I was focusing on scoring, and I didn't turn to look at this person until after they had already dropped on me. That's something I need to be more aware of on Clam Blitz, especially when I'm on a weapon like Rapid that's not super good at close range. You need to be very aware of whether people are going to drop you or not, and decide what you're going to do before they drop. So the enemy team tries and goes for a quick score there. If my whole team had gone down, that would have been really bad, right? Because if Baja wasn't alive, they would have gotten this clam in, they could have jumped in with this other one, it would have been really bad. But thankfully Baja ended up staying alive, or respawning earlier through that encounter. Yeah, so now in this situation here, we can see I may have made a bit of a mistake here. So let's look at this situation. We can see there's the 52 gal on the right. My teammate goes down on the right. I have another teammate with me. Other teammates on the left there and is kind of trapped, but they're so far away. I try and go help, but it doesn't seem to matter. The 52 gal drops on that right side, and now suddenly it's really hard for me to get over there. My teammate's not going to be able to get over there either. If we look at the map, we can see that my whole team's over on this left side. We're kind of stuck. So I try and go over there. It doesn't end up working out because it's a 52 gal. What I should have done in that situation was stay on the high ground. So back up top here, where I was sitting before, staying up there would have been a better idea because I could watch that area and also don't have to worry about the 52 gal rushing me. Well, that was just funny. Sometimes you just die to a bomb. Yeah, it's important to be your own critic, but it's also important to not get yourself too down about it. So this is an annoying situation because we do end up losing this game, as I mentioned before, but this is such a good situation we're in. We have 2 down on the enemy team, things are looking good, I start getting ready to play defensively, but what I don't do is start setting up ink mines. I set up 2 ink mines in the middle there, but none on the right side. So I'm able to watch that middle really well, but not the right side. I try and help my team clear some people off, but uh-oh, I move too far forward and things are not looking good. So I end up moving too aggressively, thinking they're all going to back up, and we end up all going down in that pile over on that right side. And it's already too late. So we ended up all grouping together over on that right side and ends up all going down. So kind of the big lesson of the story, moral of the story here is some of the areas, there's like 2 main ways to push in on this map, over on that left and over on that right. You need to watch whatever your team's not watching. Your positioning needs to change based on where your team is and where your team is not. There is a lot of kind of micro decisions that happened that I don't worry too much about. I'm worrying more about whether I should go left or right, not whether I should have aimed up or slightly down. So I'm basically looking at situations where going in was the mistake and not the individual things I did during the fight. There are things you can improve on during the fight, but most of it just kind of comes from experience and practice by just doing things over and over and over again. But yeah, that's generally how I VOD review. So it can be a little bit difficult to know what you're doing wrong, but I would focus on situations where you ended up losing. When you ended up losing the situation, what I would do is go back to before that situation started, open the map, check to see where your team is, where the paint is. If you end up going into a place with no paint and you're a weapon that can't paint, that may be a mistake. If you end up going somewhere where there's no teammates, even if you have paint, but you're a weapon that can't sustain itself, that may be a problem as well. If you're a weapon that can sustain itself, but you end up going in on your own, even if you get a kill, it may still be a mistake. Because if you push in and get kills, but then your team ends up getting pushed and scored on, like what happened at the end there, that ends up being a mistake as well. But there were a lot of things I did well that game, which were like playing defensively around that middle of the map. There were so many times where I kind of just stopped the enemy team from rushing our basket for free. And there were also times where I helped our team get in by forcing the enemy team to stay back. So I was shooting up at the enemy plat, and they really couldn't do anything about it. The only person who was able to do something about it was that Hydra Splatling, and I just need to keep a better eye out for them. So, yeah, that's generally how I VOD review. It's a really interesting experience. This is just a solo queue game, of course, so solo queue games and competitive matches are very different. I am also a competitive / pro player. I've gotten top 4 in a Nintendo Open and many other top 8s in Nintendo Opens, so, and other tournaments as well. So trust what I say, but take it with a grain of salt, you know what I mean? So not every game is winnable, but focus on the ones that are close. Thank you for watching, everybody, and stay tuned and stay interested in competitive Splatoon.